Well, check out what Qatar says about what happened today. Esteban, let's listen for a bit.
President Trump spoke with His Highness the Emir. He condemned the attack and stated the United States government's position that they have no knowledge about the attack nor any coordination regarding it.
Well, basically what the United States was saying is that Israel talks to the United States and says, we're going to attack. Apparently, they say they weren't told where. So I don't know how Trump assumed it was Qatar. That's the thing, because the United States says that Israel said it was going to attack Hamas, but didn't say where. Supposedly not, but there are issues there in the information. Why? And then at the same time, he says that he told the people from Qatar, I mean, well, not him, but it's on the web, the spokesperson. And here we showed you the video of this person. At this moment, he says the following.
But we put this person, it's not him, but she's the spokesperson. And here we showed you the video of this person.
He says it was unfortunate that he's a very close partner of the United States, an ally that actually has a base with 10,000 soldiers. Also, Qatar was attacked by Iran. Do you remember? That military base in Qatar was attacked by Iran when the war happened. On that occasion, Iran called them and said, hey, I'm going to attack you during this time and send a missile so you can evacuate. And so, well, they were totally prepared. He didn't want to escalate things, but he wanted to show strength to his own people. No, he might have thrown a small missile at them, but nothing else happened. This time, well, it really is an attack on, well, at the end of the day, on leaders of a terrorist group. Let's call it what it is, right? They were celebrating when that attack happened on October 7th. The images came out showing them there. They were celebrating. Well, their own group was eliminating civilians, families inside Israel. I mean, we shouldn't forget that part either. And another thing is that a few days ago, there was an attack inside Israel, specifically an attack in Jerusalem. And on the first day, it wasn't exactly said which group it was. Now it's known because they claimed responsibility. It's known that it was Hamas. So it made sense that any operation against Hamas would be strong and quick, since that's always how it's been, right? So one day after the attack is when this other surprise attack happens. Exactly, since no one expected anything in Qatar. People kept saying nothing would happen or change there. And they attack in a very precise way, eliminating the leaders of the 10 that were left from Hamas. Basically, they haven't left them with anything, so now they're almost without any structure. This group has been eliminated. Basically, no, because now it's confirmed that they really are eliminated. Apparently not, because at first there were still doubts. So they were left after other leaders were eliminated first, and there were fewer and fewer of them each time. Until now, basically, there's no one left from those who started this whole conflict. One thing that stands out is what Qatar says. They say, no one informed us.
Well, they say they were informed 10 minutes after the attack happened. Based on the leaks, it seems the United States doesn't really know what's happening. I don't know either, according to them. Israel had told the United States military, you know, I'm thinking about attacking Hamas, but they didn't say the location. They gave no details about when, how, or where it would happen. The attack occurred on Tuesday. And so they have to, well, figure it out for themselves, say, okay, that's the attack against them. They never said in San Diego it would happen or that it would be in Qatar. So that's why when they called Qatar, it was already 10 minutes after the attack had happened, right? That's why it's not a prior announcement anymore. And Leo?
It's incredible, and I think that
the rest, you can tell he didn't know. It was Donald Trump, because he says he's not happy with what happened. If he had known what was going to happen, well, he wouldn't have made that comment, right? This one, the President of the United States is not satisfied with the attack by Tel Aviv on Qatar and reiterated that the most important thing is for the hostages to return home. And, well, interestingly, Qatar today says it will continue acting as a mediator despite the attack carried out by Israel. However, it reserves the right to respond to Israel. So that's how things are now, sadly.
No, nothing happened. But yes, I mean, he has to do it. He doesn't have to tell the truth. Everything, I mean, is Qatar. They've mainly focused on business, becoming a partner of the United States and many other countries. It's true that there are elites, certain elites in Qatar, who are suspected of donating or giving money through supposed aid to radical groups among them. Never other groups, not all Qatar. This is just business. There are some Qataris who are very extreme and radical. So I say that's also a reality. But in general, Qatar isn't focused on those issues, not on conflict-related topics. But it's true. I mean, there are some crazy ones out there. So what's interesting here will be to see how you react. What is believed to happen is that there will be some economic sanctions from Qatar. In the end, they have many connections and resources. And besides, because right now there are many countries, France, Germany, even Spain, etc., that are, well, upset with the action or actions. Let's say Israel too. We have to remember that Netanyahu has that strategy. Is it exaggerating a lot what he says he's going to do and then dialing it back a bit? Everything seems fine. Like, we've convinced him not to be so harsh, but that's actually the strategy. That's how it's always been. I mean, yeah, I'm going to wrap everything up, and honestly, taking just a little seems fine since it's not much. That's how it is. It's always been like the approach, the strategy of this Netanyahu, and I see, well, that it's not going to get any worse. I mean, no, Qatar doesn't want to get involved in that mess. So yes, they do complain that a member of the government of
That person would have...
lost their life. They will probably demand financial compensation or something like that, and they will probably get it. I mean, I don't think that part will be much of a problem. But also, the negotiating Qatar comes to an end. They didn't like this. They didn't like being in the middle of all this mess.
But they say they're still going to stay involved, though.
He said no, it was breaking again. Yeah, well, because it came out that officially they didn't want to get involved. And you, where did you get that from?
Qatar also says no regarding Israel?
No, Qatar, well, that's what Qatar said, I mean, on their accounts. So I say, I don't know. We'd have to see where they got that from the Times of Israel. We'll see it later. But in the morning, at least, that's what he managed to say. Qatar, I recently saw another report on this. Qatar doesn't want to be involved. In fact, they didn't want to be a mediator. The United States is the one that pressured them to be a mediator. The Qataris haven't liked this because they always end up looking bad. I mean, they're the ones who always lose out, basically. So, because people are always like, oh, there they go again. This mediator system isn't about taking Y's side. You're just acting as a mediator, not necessarily supporting anything. And that part hasn't brought them good publicity, all the publicity they invested for the World Cup. And for them to suffer because of a few radicals, that's what I think.
Exactly. Look, according to what they say, the United States pressured Qatar not to stop.
Yes. So if they're going to continue as mediators, it's because of pressure from the United States.
Yes, because they claim to have notified the Trump administration, which is when the United States pressures them to say no. Well, I don't want you to leave. I want you to keep doing the same job. No?
That's the point. Qatar will have to stay by force because it's going to call in a favor from Trump, right? If he's calling in a big favor, he'll get some business from it, right? Let's move on to other interesting matters. Let's look at some images that are still pending. This is happening.
That's the announcement they made in Poland where there was a yellow alert because they were still waiting to see if more drones would come from Russia to Poland.
Well, we also have this other image that's also part of it. Exactly, from the drone activity that has been flying over Ukraine and the attacks that have been coming from Russia.
If you look over there, you can see all the drones that went toward Poland.
Quite a lot. There are quite a lot. I mean, look, they all crossed the border. They crossed the border from Ukraine. Let's count them like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17. At least here in the picture, here are some others. Down here, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here you go, right? And you start counting them, the ones. The ones who started crossing into that region had already had problems with Belarus recently with an alleged drone that crossed over from that side. And now, with Russia, it's happening on a much larger scale, right? Now, you're talking about military drones. That's a different topic, not espionage. But anyway, let's move on to the comments.